Hey guys, there is a new update for the StarCraft 2 balance patch that is planned to come out. I did a big video on it before. A lot of people have looked at that patch and thought was a little bit absurd that Protoss is getting nerfed and the other race is getting like equal or buff. So there is an update, and I just wanted to go over this. I haven't looked at it yet. We'll see if the Balance Council has taken into consideration what a lot of people are thinking right now, whether they're trying to stay in the same direction. Have they changed the numbers a little bit? Let's go ahead and see. So here it is, the PTR update, and this was just released. So let's see. Greetings from the StarCraft 2 Community Balance Council. First off, we would like to thank everyone for providing feedback on and testing the previous proposed changes. I did end up commentating some of that and making a video on that as well. And it was interesting for sure. But yeah, not enough data yet to really say anything on that completely. But a lot of people have been playing it. Anyways, we would also like to reassure that the balance updates are a joint effort from the entire community, and your feedback is very important for the direction the Balance Council is heading. Upon analyzing the perception of the first iteration of this balance patch and the games played on the PTR server, we'd like to make the following adjustments for further testing. Battery overcharge removal. This is one of the biggest things. Makes it very hard to hold on against early pressures. Developer comment. After receiving playtesting feedback, we see that many players have enjoyed the flexibility provided by the new ability, and we would like to continue testing this proposed change. However, there has also been a strong concern about Protoss defense in the early game after losing the battery overcharge ability, specifically against Terran rushes. We will be testing the following changes to try to improve Protoss's ability to defend in these scenarios. First up, Cyclone. Cyclone changes from this to that. Reverted. Okay. So basically, developer comment is the Cyclone changes from that previous patch, despite indeed bringing the unit back to play in all matchups as originally planned, have also led to reduced Protoss build diversity in the early game, as well as leading to certain troubles while defending rush builds in the Terran vs. Protoss matchup. We think reverting to the old Cyclone, which was being requested from a major part of the community, can also improve Protoss early game build diversity and stability. Okay, so a bit of a nerf to the Cyclone. Obviously, Cyclone all-ins can be very hard to hold without that overcharge. Next, Stalker. Stalker train time gateway reduced from 30 seconds to 27 seconds. Okay, so I mean, that's like a 10% build time change. But I would assume that this is obviously only out of the gateway. I don't think it's going to change anything warping them in, but we'll see, I guess. Developer comment. The Stalker build time change is added to help address builds such as Proxy, 2 Barracks, Marauder, which were very difficult to defend even with the battery overcharge ability. We think that this change will allow Protoss to more comfortably defend similar rush builds, but we will also closely monitor the consequences of this change for aggressive Protoss builds. And then we go to late game concerns. So for early game, with the overcharge removed, it's like, okay, nerf the Cyclone. Okay, that definitely helps to deal with a certain type of rush. And then the Stalker coming out 3 seconds faster. I mean, that's pretty good. Like, no one's going to complain about that as a Protoss player. Okay, not what I was expecting to see in this patch, but let's keep going. Late game concerns. Ghost supply increased from 2 to 3. That sounds like a very good change. With the release of the PTR, we've received additional feedback from the pro gamers and community members that Ghost power level seems to be too high for their cost and supply, despite multiple targeted nerfs in the recent years. Following this feedback, we would like to directly adjust the Terran army's late game strength through this change. That sounds to me like a very good change. That's like 50% more supply. You know, from 2 to 3, that will definitely make a bit of a difference. You're not going to be able to have quite as many ghosts in those very late game scenarios, but it definitely doesn't make it unusable, especially in earlier portions of the game. So that seems like a pretty smart change to me. Mothership. now can no longer be targeted by abduct. This probably should have been done a million years ago. Why should you be able to spend like 100 energy that you sucked out of your own extractor in 10 seconds to kill the most expensive unit in the game? Doesn't make sense. This should have been done literally forever ago, just like the supply depot drop, giving you more health on the depot. Okay, we have received strong community feedback about this change since the mothership was made untargetable by neural parasite in the past. With the changes back to 400 cost, 8 supply mothership, we'd like to test this idea and make the mothership less fragile in the Zerg vs. Protoss matchup. 100%. 100%. I really like that change. Because, I mean, with abduct in there, how many times have you seen mothership just abducted and killed by 40 corruptors in like one volley? It's just so silly. It's so silly. And they try to do things like make it move quicker and accelerate quicker to get away. And it's like, no, it doesn't work. They just abduct it twice. What do you want? I like this idea a lot. It's similar to a lot of the things. Well, I mean, they mentioned here no neural, but it's similar to some of these other ideas like fungal knot doing slowing to ultralisks or, you know, that type of thing. Okay. Ultralisk, anabolic synthesis bonus move speed reduced from 0.82 to 0.59. We'd like to test a slight reduction in the move speed of Ultralisk, bringing it down to the same move speed as stimmed Marines and Marauders. This is to try and make Terran players feel more comfortable moving out the map in the late game, as well as balance out increases in strength from the push priority change. That is an interesting idea. Like, it will definitely make Terrans more brave. I'm actually like, I do like the idea of nerfing Zerg slightly, regardless. But like this particular one is kind of weird, because if their move speed is going to be the same speed as Stim Marines and Marauders, they're never going to connect. And I could see that being an issue. Like that, I like the Ultralisk having a role as a strong late game unit. Personally, I think it looks good. It's fun to watch. It's fun to cast. But like, if you literally can't ever connect, we see this sometimes. This occurs in various games where you have a unit that literally is just not going to touch your opponent, right? Like, for instance, that's something that you see in Stormgate with Brutes. It's like Brutes are so dumb late game. They never even get one hit off. I could see something like that happening with this. So I'm going to go ahead and say, looking at this, I don't think that this is a good change for the Ultralisk. I understand wanting to not have it be overpowered, but you need melee units to be faster than ranged units. It's it's actually really, really important. Otherwise, they'll get kited into eternity, or just they'll never connect, and that's just not how you make a good melee unit. Yeah, not a fan of that one. Not a fan. All right, remove changes. Broodlord changes removed. Tempest damage point change removed. Liberator changes removed. Okay. The Liberator change, the new area that it had, I saw this really funny meme where it was like 2/3 of the world is covered by ocean and the other third by a single Liberator. I thought that was hilarious because it's so big. The circle was so big on that increased area. They took away the range increase to Liberator and made that upgrade into an area increase for the actual Liberation Zone. So I think that that's a smart one to get rid of. That looked way too strong. Like I saw one game. I think it was Clem versus like Estrella, where he laid down a bunch of Liberators once they had that upgrade, and the amount of area that they were dealing damage to didn't make sense. He also sieged it over a Nexus where he was like hitting every single patch easily, as well as both the geysers, and it was like not, and it wasn't even well placed, and it was like, what? Like, this is a little bit silly. As far as Tempest, so a little bit less microble, right? And the Brood Lord, I'm trying to remember exactly what the Brood Lord was. It was a little bit of a buff that it got. Okay. Anyways, we agree to feedback received that these changes would lead to more drawn out games. which this patch is trying to move away from. And these changes are no longer being tested. With Ghosts being weakened as well, we no longer believe that Broodlord's changes are needed to adjust the level of its power. Yeah, that is an interesting group of changes there. I don't know if I agree with the Broodlord versus Ghost dynamic being changed that much by the 3 supply Ghost in that particular setting, especially with the new Thor like super splash damage that it's going to have. I guess we'll see on that, but definitely a fan of the Liberator change being removed. That ended up not being a good one. Okay, other changes. Hydralisk Dash name is not finalized. It's a great name. Let's not name it something stupid like Shadow Stride. DT Blink, did you know DT Blink is called Shadow Stride? I'm just learning it. No, I knew. But, like, I don't know. You don't need to make names silly. I remember I ran, like, a Jeopardy game show with upgrade names and stuff. And, like, everyone just doesn't know the names of these things. It's like, I don't know how they come up. Dash is great because guess what? That's what it's doing. It's dashing. So let's name things what it looks like and what it does. Anyways, that's my own personal hill to die on. Name is not finalized. Speed bonus increase from 60% to 100%. Dash is now point targeted, giving the Hydralisk a move order to the target location. Whoa, that is definitely very different. Let me just see what the comment is. The previously tested functionality was too hard to make use of for many players, so we would like to make this adjustment to try and make the ability more functional and powerful. So it's going to move way faster with the dash, and it's going to be a move order to a target location. So you don't just increase the speed and micro it. Instead, you're going to be like, okay, dash to this location, and it'll move there very quickly. That is kind of a cool idea because now when that's being utilized, there could be counterplay when you already know where they're going to go. Like that you may not be able to tell 100% exactly where they clicked, right? But there'll be a little bit more back and forth with that. It feels like. I think this is a cool idea. That is a cool idea. I'm totally on board to see how that's going to turn out. Okay, Lurker health reduced from 200 to 190. Lurker sight increases from 10 to 11. Developer comments. As we continue to test the disruptor changes, we'd like to reduce the Lurker health to 190 so it will not survive 2 purification Nova hits. That's a good idea. That's ridiculous having to hit it 3 times. The sight range is also being increased to fix an issue caused by the Lurker having identical attack and sight ranges, leading to its attack range having slight inconsistencies depending on angle. I wasn't aware of those slight inconsistencies. Okay, I can't really say anything about that. You don't want that type of thing to occur, so that makes sense. Remove changes. Missile turret salvage change removed. That's a good change. Why would you do that? Why would you allow them to salvage all of their defensive buildings? We agree with feedback that this change would be counterproductive to making less drawn-out defensive games. We are continuing to test the addition of the salvage ability to the sensor tower, as it should allow for more interesting usage of sensor tower in accordance with the other proposed sensor tower changes. Okay. Blue flame change removed. Spine crawler changes removed. Okay, so the blue flame went from +5 to +9. They took that out. Okay, well, let's just read what they say here. We believe that the spine crawler adjustments is a risky change as it would lead to proxy hatchery strategies in Zerg vs. Protoss being significantly stronger, as well as increasing the strength of 12 pool plus drone rushes in Zerg vs. Zerg. With spines back to their old power and Zergs being less reliant on queens, we would like to also revert the blue flame change, as in the current state of balance, this might reduce Zerg's build order variety to only roach-based openings. That seems fair. If Blue Flame Hellion builds really popped up and spines are not super duper buffed anymore, and maybe you possibly have 1 less queen, or more likely like 4 less slings, yeah, that makes sense that Blue Flame Hellion builds could really spike and keep a lot of pressure on Zerg, and if you have to open Roach as opposed to Zergling, that's kind of annoying. I think that's excellent. That makes a lot of sense to me. Okay. Yeah, and it looks like they go on to just say what the full updated changelog is. So there you have it. Just to go over what these changes are, I think that they definitely made some improvements here. Okay, like I mentioned in the previous video where after I had casted some games that I have become a little bit of a fan of the energy recharge ability, which has replaced battery overcharge. It definitely makes for some really interesting situations, and the game looks very different from that. The fact that they are addressing cyclone rushes, the fact that they are making the stalkers get out a little bit quicker, these seem very reasonable. It's growing on me, both of these. As far as ghosts going from 2 to 3 supply, that's not a game breaker for the ghosts, right? You're still going to use ghosts a lot. They're still going to have a huge amount of usage, but you can't have quite as many in that late game. So I very much like this idea. This looks really good to me. This should have been done forever ago. I do not like the Ultralisk change. Melee units need to be faster than ranged units. It's very rare when you're going to have situations where that isn't the case. But yeah, I feel like this is going to turn out wrong, I think. It's going to make Ultralisk so useless. Removing Liberator. The Liberator change is really great. I like this idea for the Hydralisk Dash, where it's targeted. That's cool. Yes, lurkers shouldn't take 3 disruptor hits. You know, that's one of the chief ways to deal with the lurkers. And if you have to hit it with 3, you're just never going to kill it. Yeah, the sight range is whatever. I get it. Missile turret salvage, great. Blue flame removed and spine crawlers no longer buffed. Yeah, this looks like very, very good changes overall. And I don't think Zerg will be hurting with the Ultralisk change, but I don't think I think they're going to play with that and be like, yeah, this looks stupid. So overall, I want to say that, yeah, this looks like a good set of changes. I think that they've done a good job kind of looking at what the patch is actually doing and trying to adjust that. I'm actually kind of enamored. The more I'm looking at and thinking about this Stalker change, it seems very smart. It seems very smart to help out with those rushes, and having a more unit-centric defense is, I think that makes just like a more healthy situation for the game anyways, rather than static buildings. I'm a fan. I think that overall this is very good changes, and I guess we'll see if this all ends up going live or not. I'll keep you guys updated. Thank you for watching, and let me know below what you think about these new changes.